On the top level we run, for Osiris, for my son. We show up and pack a punch, this is war. We step up, we gon' never fold. This is legacy, they gon' know me when I go.
So rain down all you want, but our power is in the sun. And when our planets still align, our nation will become victorious. Swords where you stand and spit upon the ground. But when those horns sound off, pray to the Lord, you've been righteous now. I say rain down all you want, but our power is in the sun. And when our planets do align, our nation will become victorious.
This is war, we don't stop, what's in store, where we start, we deploy. They don't wanna see us win, so we gon' show them all the voice. To the top, we enjoy, when my partners don't avoid. Want the glory, silence noise, here for life, made a choice.
The smoke clears the air. I'm the only one standing. The darkness lifts. There lies the freedom in front of me. So I will start on this day. The rise of kingdoms to come, and we will no longer be named by the weather above. So rain down all you want, but our power is in the sun. And when our planets do align, our nation will become victorious.
Let it be, all that weakness, rest in peace. I learned about the recipe when I was younger, recklessly. Now I'm chasing the glory, gonna be fine. Working so hard, matter of time. Never give up, how we define. Taking my chances, breaking a climb. I'ma show them how it's done. On the top level we run, for Osiris, for my son. We show up and pack a punch, this is war. We step up, we gon' never fold. This is legacy, they gon' know me when I go.
So rain down all you want, but our power is in the sun.
Yo, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to another match today on top 8 Osiris League. Hope everyone's doing well. Bulba, good morning, my friend. How are you today?
Good morning, buddy. Good to see you. Oy. It's always fun. It's always fun, my friend.
It's a little early. If you guys don't know, there was a daylight savings time in the US, so we had to make a little adjustments, but you know, we're here, we're ready to go, and I'm excited for this matchup today, man. Are you excited for this match today?
Man, dude, I'm excited. We got a Osiris League champion in JST versus our newly crowned Grand Finals champion coming in. You know, it's gonna be an absolute banger, and we are getting into the nitty gritty. So, my friend, I am beyond excited. This is probably the most exciting part of Osiris League for me, in my opinion.
I completely agree with you, man. This is gonna be a really good matchup. And the winner of this faces the winner of the upcoming match today, I believe at 15 UTC, which is my team TR. Going against VC. So whoever is gonna win this is gonna face the winner of the next match. So I'm really excited to see who that's gonna be against. And with that, Boba, I'm gonna tune into the match and chat. I hope you're ready for this banger because it's gonna be a good one. Here we go, chat. We're gonna go in right now and transition over. We are in, ladies and gentlemen. We are in with NnaV and JST. Oh, Bulba. For this match, again, JST, former champions, NnaV, part of a championship kingdom of Osiris League. What are your thoughts on this match coming up? Who do you think is going to be favored in the winner? I know there's a poll in the chat right now asking who will be the winner. What are your thoughts on this match and who's going to come out the victor?
You know, honestly, I think between these two teams, you know, they compete with a lot of they get to practice with really good teams all in their own right. So it's just one of those things that I think JST kind of has that history behind them, has that knowledge, that practice of getting really deep into the Osiris League. And yeah, you know, it's one of those things. I think the championship caliber of a team like JST, I think, is where this will pay dividends in. And yeah, man, that's kind of where I'm at right there. I think NnaV still has that hill to climb, but today's the day it starts. Today's the day that it starts.
I same here. I based on the bets that I saw earlier today, NAB was favored, I believe. Um, and with JST as a former champion, I feel like they're slightly the underdog in this matchup. Because being alongside 1V in your kingdom, has its perks. So I think NAV is slightly favored to win this, and I definitely think that a lot of their strategy and a lot of their capabilities are is gonna be similar to 1V. So I'm really interested to see what JST does to counter this to make it into the top four. So with 30 seconds left, man, chat, we're gonna see a ban in this matchup. Really excited to see with NAV being led by Burberry Lover, and then JST side with their leadership team ready to go with XOXO and Musayo Bot. So with 10 seconds left coming up, man, I'm really excited, and I hope the community is excited. And Boba, I hope you're ready to go, man, because this is going to be the banger that we've been looking forward to all weekend long.
Yeah. So guys, I do see you on the chat saying that. So apparently, I guess my mic's a little bit low. So they're saying they can't hear me. But regardless, whether or not the match has started, I hope that I know we're in for a treat today, guys. So I'm gonna talk and yell a little bit louder. Hopefully, y'all can hear me a little bit better as we get through. And the match is now beginning. It's incredibly low. Okay, well. I'm not sure what to tell y'all, chat. If not, then you know what? Red's gonna take it off, and we're just gonna rock it. We're just gonna rock and roll, baby. But JSC's opening the gates have already opened, and as we're watching, JST's gonna be flooding both of their lanes. But yeah, Red, kind of what are we looking for on our breakoff, bud?
I mean, I think the starting breakoffs are going to be similar on both sides. In chat, please let me know Boba's voice got a little bit better. We increased some of the things on our end over here, so hopefully he's much clearer. And you can hear our morning voice is much better. So please let us know. But I do think that we're going to see similar breakoffs, like as we've seen in the past. Both teams are going to go aggressive on the altars, both with hard push in the beginning. So I I think I'm really interested to see how the aggression is on both altars, and if they're going to do any interesting, I guess, starting strats to disrupt the coordination on both sides.
Yeah, so the interesting part to watch, and it goes with a lot of the Korean and Asian teams that I do see, a lot of the gate blocking that I know we've casted over in grand finals where 1V did it, but that usually will happen on the first rotation. Um, and so that's an interesting strat that a lot of our top tier teams are running now. But usually you're going to see it for the first arc rotation. So and as we're kind of keeping our eyes on all the structures as they're going to begin to open up in the next couple of minutes, that's definitely something to keep our eyes on if we see any marches kind of rushing through the middle, and kind of in the effort to help them add additional pressure leading into that first arc for sure.
Yeah, as you mentioned that, we have a couple JST players. Actually, one JST player. Oh no, actually a couple are heading down the middle. And we have two rallies from NnaV going down the middle. Looks like they're going to outpost rallies, I believe. They're outpost rallies. So we're seeing a couple of different strats, but NnaV definitely has a strong presence going down the middle. either one to possibly counter these outpost push, but there's a lot of things going on the map, and I'm moving over to the
Mm-hmm.
desert altar right here, and NAV definitely has a presence, and they also have a good group going towards straight to the sky altar. And then the same thing for JST, they're pushing heavily on the shrine of life, or getting positioned near their sky altar on the top right side. As I say that, I'm shifting over to the left. You're seeing the same thing from NnaV on their sky altar, and JST is doing the same thing, going aggressive towards their shrine of life.
Yeah, and as you were saying that, I'm keeping track of these of because they're both doing it in two different ways. And NAV sent double rallies, like you said, XY, and the other one was Nevsky to hit these outposts. And in on the other side for JST, they just full send on their regular marches. But the difference was those rallies went almost twice as fast as the marches. As those were running through middle, those rallies are already hitting the outposts as we speak, and it could be a very interesting way as I see a Zika in an outpost. Who would have thought right off the rip? It's almost like they know on this bottom side that this is something to watch for NNAV. I thought alternatively that they would have broken those off and those would have become those gate blocking marches. But it looks like they're letting them hit. We are having some fights, rumble in the jungle in the middle, already trying to clear out those marches, trying to come through the mid. And yeah, man, it's gonna be a fun one. We got a minute before these shrines and altars open up.
Yep, and with that, both altars were heavily pushed by NnaV and JST. So now who's gonna see who's gonna get the first capture on these altars? And man, like on the bottom side, NnaV has really good positioning on JST. So there's a chance that NnaV could get the first touch on this. And looking on the top side, pretty even on top. So NAV definitely has the advantage on the bottom side right now. And it looks like on the left outpost, NAV might be able to capture that one because with the rally and the garrison, it looks like they've definitely reinforced it. They're able to take JST. So definitely, I don't know, man. This is going to be so interesting.
Yeah, I think the trick between these teams is when you're getting to this level of gameplay, it's we're legitimately pulling hairs out at this point. Like both of these teams know exactly what they need to do. They've practiced it. They've really tested it. And for me, usually, in when we have matches like this, it all comes down to mid, right? Like most teams are very good at switching occupation, even if they're not the greatest at it. They're strong enough and coordinated enough in order to neutralize and kind of mitigate that point advantage that you usually see between matches previous. And then that mid game, I think that's what separates because there's such big point jumps in dictating whether it's going to be a 2 arc or a 3 arc type match. And then ultimately, like we always come down provisions. The match we casted last week came down to provisions, and it's one of those things that you can't really practice for, ultimately at the end of the day. But man, it's going to be an absolute nail biter. But both teams switching altars, so it's still 2-2, just on different locations.
Man, and look at that with the map right here. NAV has the JST Shrine of War. They did touch first the Sky Altar and on the side of JST. So definitely the NAV was the aggressor and were able to take some of these structures away at the beginning. So the timing is going to be adjusted and the points per minute will go in favor of NnaV based on what we've seen in the beginning. So, man, do you think this type of disruption at the beginning, because right now with the Shrine of Life in possession of NnaV, Shrine of War, I'm sorry, is possession of NAV, and that timing's off, will that mess up things in the middle with 5 minutes and 40 seconds left of the timer? What do you think?
Usually I would say yes, but right now we're looking at 3 altars in favor of JST. I think first
Ah,
occupation is a big one. If you think you're going to be able to get it, I think that additional points is worth being a little bit late, especially if the structure is closer to your obelisk, right? If you're forward facing, at this point, we're already at 4.5 minutes. You're more likely just zeroing out your marches to get your marches back to start rotating towards mid, which is what we're starting to see on that bottom side. JST is steadily starting to hold, but all the blue marches are swarming because they either need to clear out. Look at the Caesar. Let's go.
they
And
do from
just
the.
like that, NNAV, flipping that with hard push on with Ethel. But as you're seeing, right, I don't think they intend on getting first occupation at this point, just because they're just trying to kill off their marches. But it's still going to delay that tick over. And it's going to throw JST's timing off just a little bit because they are going to have to reswarm this down, which means they have to reset their marches and then re-rotate. So it throws off timing a little bit. But I think if you're in favor of JST right now, you're still holding the 3 altars. And I'm looking right now to see if they got occupation. They got Zenobia on that top side, enemy altar as well. So they are 25 seconds away from stealing that first occupation. So I do see NnaV trying to aggressively push that to try to stop that. But we'll keep our eyes on these because structures is going to be a big one between these two.
Oh man, with 10 seconds left on this altar, will JST get the first occupation on this? It's really close. They still have a full-on rally with the Nevsky Jones. So I think they'll be able to. Oh no, JST got the first one. So that was huge. That's that's a good solid occupation points they got on that altar with 750 points. So good for them. Now it was split back to NnaV, and with that, the rotations to mid have been happening on the NnaV side, and JST is there, slowly but steadily. I think they were able to match the timing and get some people there and it's the middle. So with 3 minutes and 30 seconds left, Boba, I think this first arc is definitely going to be contested by both sides, and we'll see whose mid game is going to prevail in this section.
Yeah, so it's going to be very interesting. So that those first occupations are like additional like feathers in your hat. You know what I mean? Like it's a nice cushion to have because what it does is it's going to it forces your opponent to have to take that into account. Like they're already going to be playing at a deficit when most times they're not used to that. So you may see them play a little bit more aggressive, but that first arc ultimately, right? It's only worth 3,000 points. It's not going to make or break the match whatsoever, but what it will allow them to do is dictate how many arcs this match is going to have, the pace of the match. It really does give you a lot of power with how the match is going to play. So both of these teams are very good at mid game in their own right. NnaV picking up a lot of things from 1V, who are returning champions, and JST are champions from previous realm or previous season. So I'm interested to see as I'm clicking through what March compositions each one of these guys are running. Because from what I'm seeing JST pulling out?
Are you seeing
Question
this?
mark? Question mark?
Oh, I think it was because NAV has an individual here kind of cutting off the reinforcements or lowering their marches, so it could be just to take care of that. Because I was like, is there going to be a trick play here? But with that, well, there's so many marches, so many structures being blinking right now. So they have rallies going on multiple buildings on the NnaV side. So I'm wondering what's happening here. Is it's either just being a distraction and try to pull one of these structures, but with no rallies happening on the NnaV side, we have 2 actually going on. That's less troops in the middle. So is this a good thing for JST? That I don't know.
Yeah, and I see JST's rally on that top side desert altar. They're about to take that one down. So those are like they're just adding on more and more pressure, and that's only going to add more emphasis back to mid, which I do see NnaV starting to dump troops into the middle. But this first arc, like I said, we've seen teams lose the first arc and still come back and win the second, and just kind of hold that in their pocket and win. And so it's going to be an interesting play to see what JST does. Even with the light marches that we thought we were seeing, it still looks like they were able to form a monster ball. Regardless, they did clear out that one individual as he's starting to scatter and kind of cherry pick these marches, which is smart, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the team with the most marches, with the highest healing and strength is probably going to be the team that's going to come. So if you have one of those players, it's just an absolute whale out there, just going in 5 marching out combos and marches. It's going to help as we see JST pushing in.
Here we go. And I'm going to assume here both teams are going to use both mystical formation as well as war drums. So now it's going to come down to who does a better coordination at taking out the individual marches and which murder ball comes up best. And with that, there's 10 seconds left of the arc spawn. So will JST get that position and be able to get the first touch and bring it on their side, or will it be NnaV? So let's see who's going to come out the winner on this one. And oh man, I don't know, because the mid fights are completely different gameplay. Because I've seen so many great teams coordinate so well in the middle. and just murder teams in the middle. Even the best equipment, best commanders, is just coordination in the middle. And with that, NAV has the first touch. Now they can just pull away with this. And how can JST counter this?
So I think they started the counter when we were talking about the structures before they started pushing. Right now, they doubled up their points, like their lead from the 700 from the first occupation to almost 1500. So the three altars being held in favor of JST are going to be doing work for them in their own right. But like you said, NnaV getting this first pull definitely gets that arc running on their side of the field, which always makes it harder because you're having to push all the way through mid in order to get back to the arc. But if you're JST, just trying to pick up the arc is kind of a stall strategy in its own right. You know what I mean? It takes 10 seconds to pick it up. That's 10 seconds that a guy is standing there just getting absolutely wailed on before having to pick up the arc. But NnaV are doing the thing, which is what you ultimately want to do, is just consistently move and move and move in your direction, just to keep it deeper on your side. And as we say that, NnaV first arc goes to them, and JST is resetting and gonna start focusing more on structures now.
Yep, that is true. Right now, NnaV literally wiped the mid of JST. JST still has the NnaV altar in their position, but as we were talking about that, NnaV was able to take the bottom one from JST. So there's a lot of structures being flipped at this time, and JST has done the right call by saying, hey, you know what, we lost this arc, we need to focus heavily on structures and kind of offset those points that are going to be scored by NnaV. So the question now, Wilba, is NnaV going to hold on to this arc to limit the amount of arcs that occurs, or are they going to turn this immediately and continue to go for possibly a 3-arc game?
I think ultimately with the team that has that decision, right? They're very strong in mid, which isn't it isn't a random thought, because they are practicing against one of the strongest mid teams in 1v. And that's not the ultimate question. Comes down is, how good do we think NnaV structure game is? Because I know JST's is very strong. So they may need 3 arcs to win this game. I don't know if NnaV will be able to contend with JST's kind of occupation game hard enough to where they're going to be able to win this with only 2 arcs. I really do think that NnaV are going to need that third one in order to kind of take them over the top.
Got it, guys. So you think there'll be a 3rd arc? Oh man, I mean, interesting. And I agree with you. I think because right now, JST is very aggressive. They're very good on their occupation. And the 3rd arc could be crucial for NnaV to take this win, because with them scoring this arc, it's gonna be a slight lead of 1,000 points. Yeah, about 1,000 points. Math wasn't my strong suit, Boba. I'll let you know in the past. So but if JC continues to be strong on this occupation, that's gonna go away immediately. So I like to see what NnaV does, because this decision could be really crucial about the outcome of this game. And JST is contending this. They're definitely delaying the amount of arcs by continuing to go after the arc carrier. I mean, I thought this arc was gone, but they're definitely going for it, kind of delaying it.
Yeah, and as we say that, like I'm saying, occupation. Look at the 3 altars in favor of JST. The lead is just about to hit 2K by itself, and look, JST picking up the arc and trying to run it back deeper and deeper. It's just a nice stall tactic on their side. It's just a couple of marches, but the delay is a delay, right? At the end of the day, like I said, JST's occupation is very strong. NnaV is doing their thing. Their mid game brawl was it ended very quickly. We'll say that. And but JST put the pedal to the metal. They're pushing on occupation, trying to get as many structures as I see the last blue altar blinking. And plenty of marches coming in. That Jad holding on for dear life, but reinforcements are coming from JST from the bottom side.
Oh man.
So it's gonna get very, very intense, Red.
I mean, NnaV is holding this altar though with dear life. They're reinforcing it very well. And an interesting thing I saw, I don't know if the chat saw, but JST was rallying with the Joan Attila, and I think that, it could have been because of the anti-swarm capabilities that Attila brings, but that was interesting to see on the JST side. They're trying out different combinations when it comes to rallying structures, because majority of the time now in this gameplay, every single rally that comes your way, you're swarming it no matter what it is. So I'm interested to see how those reports look like to see if that actually did enough damage and to the swarmers as well as the structure.
Yeah, and that's always kind of the interesting, like seeing as we get deeper in, right? We're already looking at kind of the top 8, looking to see this is where they're going to bring out the new meta if there is a new meta. So mid game brawls, new tactics, garrisons. I'm still very interested to see Jed being utilized on a your side altar. I know Zika has been kind of the meta shift.
Yep.
So it's interesting to see that they're still running with Jad and sticking by her. So, and as we say that, look at JST starting to push past that top side altar. Dude, they're picking up the arc and running it back again. Oh
Oh
my
my
goodness.
gosh. This is scary, man. This is scary. Like
Look at
I
the
felt
marches.
like that was
Look at the
secured.
marches. Look at the marches. Oh no.
I felt
So,
like it was secured.
and I don't want to bring this up from last season, but we did see this happen, and it was actually against it for or against JST from last season. I can't remember, where we thought an arc was completely captured and they ran it back all the way through mid last season. It was too good. So nothing is ever safe with any of these teams. And as we see, look at the amount of marches getting invested in here. The interesting part is that JST is not running it away from the altar. They're actually running it towards, but they don't have a rally like even hitting right now. So we're going to keep our eyes on it. They're going for the pull, going for the sneak. But as we're saying that, JST are investing a ton now that the arc is super close. I definitely, they should be swarming this altar at some point, probably prior to the rally hitting. And as we say that, the rally is coming in. We got
I think
we got the good old bull haircut about to hit that altar. Yep.
If you're like you're me and Bull's age, that bull haircut was a style back then when we were kids. So that
with the breakaways, the tearaways.
There it is.
NBA Jam.
Let's go. But man, this is scary because right now, I mean, I looked a little earlier, and JST did shift some people from their top lane to support this. So if they were able to take this altar and score that arc, that was a great audible if they can pull this off, because NnaV has a really much shorter refresh time, so it should be easier for them to defend this. But it's all about the timings, and based on what I'm seeing on the screen right here, the arc is really close to the altar, and JST have a lot more has a bigger presence. They can score this arc, and they're about to do it.
Here goes the Jad.
Uh-oh.
Get a garrison in.
Uh-oh.
Oh, go!
Oh my gosh.
Way!
What the play? What up? Oh, he lost it. He lost it.
Oh no, it's right there. But dude, Trajan garrison. Oh no. Somebody get a garrison in there. This Zenobia better have OP gear. This Zenobia is swarming. No, get her in the garrison.
Oh.
And NnaV pulling it. Dude, they're going to start swarming this Trajan. Get the Zenobia in.
Oh my god.
No way. No way.
I mean, they're ready. I mean, I think this is going to be a 2-arc game now, based on how long it's been.
Dude, there's still no garrison in that building, and they're just going to insta swarm this down. Look at Zenobia's getting absolutely wrecked.
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness, they're losing it right there. Oh, pick it up. Dude, this is painful. This is painful to watch. This reminds me of last year, where it was 1021 in 1v, and the arc literally died right by the altar. Oh man, I'm getting flashbacks. And then NnaV picking it up again. Oh
my gosh. Look at so NnaV is not going after the structure. They're really all going for the arc. And most teams have about, I don't know, 6 or 7 dedicated players to a specific lane. So if JST committed more players here, there's a high chance that they'll keep this altar and score this arc. So I'm assuming that NnaV has shifted people from the outside lanes that support this. So I don't know, man. I mean, NnaV has it, and they definitely have much bigger field presence. So it looks safe. I mean, as we talked about, nothing is safe, right? But gosh, if JST pulled this off, that would have been epic.
Wow. Dude, we legitimately are going to go back to that and be like, bro, he was he literally fell asleep outside of the structure and died. And now they're pulling it back to their obelisk. Dude, what a play. And NnaV, the the patience that it took to see a Trajan garrison and not instantly swarm down the structure is like I was yelling for it. And the fact is they legitimately did not care. It switched to a Nevsky garrison and they completely left it just to make sure that they contested the arc and made sure that JST did not pick it up, which is top tier strat. I promise you the comms, they were all yelling, forget the structure. We need to swarm these arc carriers. And just like that, man, they legitimately just came back. They're gonna insta cap this at this point. Look,
Yeah, they
so
are. I think they're
we
insta capping it. So the timer has reset. NnaV has scored the arc. They held against that push from JST to be able to secure that arc, but that first arc was intense. So I'm interested to see how the next arc's gonna go, Boba, with 8 minutes left until the next one, because that was definitely an amazing showing from both sides, especially from the JST side. That was bold, and they almost pulled it off, but man, they were super close. But NnaV was able to counter that.
Yeah, and this it's kind of it's so ironic, right? We always talk about dictating the pace of the match, you know, where your marches are going to be, all that kind of stuff. With them doing that, it actually put both of them in a very awkward timing situation because now NnaV have to push up, right, to kill their marches off.
Yep.
But JST's marches had just died from trying to pull that arc. But now it puts JST in a weird situation because now you're still like 2.5 minutes before you would actually rotate. And it's probably take you like 45 seconds to get there. So do you rerun out on the outside lanes? Do you just go early into mid? Kind of what would be your play, Red? What do you think they should be doing now that it's just kind of awkward timing between both teams
I mean,
now?
it is awkward time, man. Like that was intense. That's more of like the last like 5 minutes. Like that's normal. What you see like last 5 minutes for like for an arc. So the timings are off. NnaB has 3 altars, and the fourth one is being contested by them as well. So we could see NnaB having 4 altars like in the next 15 seconds or so. But the timing has shifted. 6 minutes 40 seconds left. I think for the JST side, you have to stabilize some of these structures because the occupation game is going to be your, I guess, your savior with NAV scoring that arc. And based on what I see NAV in the middle, JST needs to really heavily focus on structures to at least even out the points. So they have to reset and then start rotating in the next minute or so because if with NAV having these structures, they're not going to hold on to them, right? That they held. They're literally disrupting the points. Their troops are dying off right now, and JST needs to reset and the map is turning blue as we're talking about this. So I wonder whose timing that messed up truly for. Was it for JST? Because it looks like NAV is definitely taking full advantage of what just happened.
Yeah, and as you were talking, man, I was flipping over to these structures. One of these altars just got flipped in favor of JST back on that bottom side. But all the altars are starting to flip. Those shrines are starting to tick over as well. And NAV, the heavy swarm coming in from JST right now. We'll see if this Jad on the top side is going to be able to hold out. But yeah, that timing, honestly, at the end of the day, JST did such an incredible job with occupation where that arc legitimately did it just kept NNAV in the game, right?
Yep.
It didn't give them any sort of leg up, increase in point, like did increase their points, but it didn't allow them to take the lead in points. Because in as we say that third, those holding the 3 altars just gave them finally NNAV finally taking the first opportunity to take the lead in points. So they are now effectively taking the lead by 50 points in the match, which is the first time that we can say that in the 30 minutes that we've been playing this match. So JST are doing a phenomenal job. We're looking at NnaV rotating towards mid now, but JST are starting to push them out too. I do suspect JST are going to be very aggressive with this next arc because essentially the winner of this next arc, I really do feel like will be the winner of this match.
And I agree with you on that. I think this is going to be most important arc of the game because I think To the Death's going to pop out here. I think Heaven's Grace is going to pop out here. I think they're all going to go all in because 3,500 points on this next arc, and with 28 minutes left in the match, yes, I think there could be a third arc, but there's going to be very, very limited time on that. So I think this is a must-win situation for either side to pull out of this match.
Yeah, and I definitely think even if there is a third arc, I don't think there'll be enough time to capture it. I think both of these teams will contest that third one, just to make it kind of null. Um, and then JST should start focusing. I know that I see a couple of blinking altars. This is kind of the time where one of these two teams usually will go after Shrine of War, kind of get those additional benefits going in towards mid. And as I say that, I see the blinking on the side, on the bottom side for that Shrine of War. But it looks like Zenobia's topped off, so she should absolutely wreck those guys. But with 3.5 minutes red, and NnaV are already pushing on JST in mid game.
Oh, I think it could be one, they're baiting out skills, or two, just trying to get better positioning in the middle. As NAV marches continue to come in, points per minute now, Boba is still in favor of in JST with 543.80. So this is going to be super close. It's literally like a 12-point game if you're looking at the top. Now, sorry, just it's a 2-point game. So this definitely is going to be we could a 1,000-point game, in my opinion. I think it's to be that close when it comes to the timer.
Yeah, and I, that was short lived, wasn't that? That was short lived, and just like that, JST taking the lead back, and no blinking structures on the outside. Everybody's getting pulled in this front. I'm interested to check in a minute. I'll check to see because I know 1v strategy, they usually pull their provisioner for mid-game fights, which doesn't seem like much, but those additional 5 marches can be a make or break kind of deal in certain mid-game situations. So, and I know JST does something very similar, close as we're looking. We see some blue marches coming in again at that choke point on the bottom side by JST, but they are not messing with him this time. But with 2 minutes left, we should see JST starting to push in fairly soon to try to get in position for this arc, and that's when the skills are really going to start popping off here in a minute.
Yeah, and as I looked while we were talking, it looks like JC has no provisioners out right now, so I definitely think they pulled their provisioners. I think I saw like one person possibly gathering on the side of NAV. So, this is the make or break arc, and they pulled everything for this. I'm really interested to see if there's any structures that are maybe have 1 or 2 marches in, because right now JC is about to take the Shrine of Life. It looks like NnaV may have pulled the majority of their forces out of their structures for this mid fight. So with a minute 20 seconds left, who's gonna come out on top? Is JST gonna fold like last time, or are they gonna show NnaV what they're made of and win this mid fight?
Well, I just saw that JST pulled the Shrine of Life from NnaV. So that 25% healing speed, instead of the Shrine of War, it could be, we could see a little bit of a Heaven's Grace situation coming in. And as we say that, Red, the skills are starting to pop off, my friend.
Here we go. And I believe the 3 skills were popped on the side of JST. If I was wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but I saw Mystical Formation, War Drums, and To the Death. And then NAV popped Heaven's Grace, and I believe Mystical. I don't know if it was delayed on my end, but definitely JST did pop To the Death. Oh,
Yeah, you are correct. It's very interesting that they pop Heaven's Grace so early, though. I feel like they popped it almost too early. And as we say that, look at the NnaV sad faces leaving. Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh. Is JST gonna win this mid fight?
Man, the last time we tried to predict this, bro, it went from like blue to red with and we looked so dumb.
Go back up a little bit. Just make sure, because for some reason, man, I'm not seeing any sad faces, unless the game 1 is delayed or everyone is just OP and won't die.
Oh,
So,
all I'm seeing pouring sad faces coming out of here from the side of blue. It's crazy.
but look, NAV got the first pull.
That's
there
it.
are the sad faces. Oh, they're just pouring out, my man.
They're
They're just
pouring out.
pouring
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
It's raining sad faces.
It's raining, man.
Hallelujah, it's raining.
Hallelujah. Oh, yeah. What, dude, we're bringing the vibes. We're bringing the vibes,
What?
chat. Make sure, guys and gals, if y'all are enjoying the stream, enjoying the vibe, make sure to smash that like button. Consider subscribing to the official Rise of Kingdoms channel for all your Osiris League content. And as we say that, look at what color is left in middle, baby.
Yeah, JST, they did what needed to be done. I mean, again, as we mentioned, no arc is safe, right? No arc is safe, but JST definitely are securing this second arc. And now I want to see what NAV does. Are they going to continue going for it? Which I don't think they will. Well, I mean, actually, they are sending full mid. Oh,
JST didn't pick up the arc. Nobody was picking it up for like 20 seconds.
I mean,
And now, as we say that, Trajan picking up the arc. GG's. One of the slowest marches to pick it up. Oh my goodness.
and
He's
and
going to get melted so fast.
NnaV's full sending mid. Yeah, they're still sending. Yeah, they're full sending mid, man. So this is gonna be this could be the last arc, I think. But remember, but remember, if you don't remember last match, the VC matchup against OV, there was a third arc with like 8 minutes left in the match, I believe, or 6 minutes, Boba, and it was so close. They could have scored it. So I think you need a solid 4 minutes to score the arc. So if it does come to a third arc, there's gonna be a very, very, very small timeline to score it, but I think this arc is gonna be contested for the next 20 minutes, man. Unless
I think
something happens.
well, the issue always comes right as I'm looking topside. That way I see March is already running straight down to head to this choke point. Um, the interesting part is that it really shows that NnaV is a little worried about this occupation game. You know, JST are still applying pressure onto this. You know, almost a little bit less than double
I mean, but the
points per
thing is,
minute in
though,
favor of JST.
JST does have their Shrine of War, so those buffs are not in favor of NnaV, right? The 5% attack and defense buff. So NnaV could be coming to meat grinder until they can take that Shrine of War back to even out those statistics. But with that, well, if you look on the top of the screen on the Shrine of War side of GST, we got NnaV doing a little flank maneuver, trying to come around to cut this guy off.
Dude, they're full sending regardless of where he's going. Top side has it. If you look mid, look at the train of blue coming through, and JST are bringing it from the top side as well to come and reinforce it. We're gonna have a whole new mid brawl coming through.
Look at the score, 300-point game. The points per minute is still in favor of JST with 670 versus the 430 from the NnaV side. So, you know, the occupation is still in favor of JST. So NnaV need this arc. And with that, the Shrine of Life on the top side has been taken by JST. So they're trying to widen the gap as much as possible because this game is super short. It's actually what 110 points in favor of NAV, but that will slightly change as JST continues to be the aggressor on these structures, and with the arc on the side of JST, so their marches will get there faster. So, well, I think this is what we're going to be seeing for the next 21 minutes, unless JST pulls the nice one and scores that arc.
So the important part, and this is where that stall tactic that we were talking about is going to come into effect, right? You have people running across the entire map to come and assist with this. If you're JST, you need to be focusing on just consistently picking up this arc as it gets dropped, because it will get dropped.
Yep.
You know, 1v is sending a ton of people. You still need to set your rallies, but the ultimate thing is just consistently just having control of it and continuing to drag it deeper and deeper into your zone, so that as you're killing those 1v, the NnaV marches, it's a longer refresh time for them at the end of the
Yep.
day.
Yep.
If you're NnaV, you just need to pick it up and stall long enough to where your guys can make their way down the field.
Yeah, because right now I see a lot of red, right? Because as you mentioned, the refresh time for JST is so short compared to NnaV. Could be like a solid 30 to 45 seconds of getting to that arc versus JST, probably easy 30 seconds. I think JST is going to come away with this arc, and NAV is just going to have to stall as much as possible. So the 10-second delay of picking it up is huge. I don't know,
Yeah,
man.
the interesting part, and I will say this, for the amount of investment that NnaV have been dumping into this arc, they still have not lost structures. So that lets you know that JST are just as invested in this arc as NnaV are, because most teams would have still been focusing on the structures, because they literally dumped everybody in. And as we say that, you know, they have that 300-point lead in favor of JST. They have this arc kind of in their pocket. You know, are we now starting to send more provision marches? You know, insatiable desire starts to come in for those provision points. which both of these teams I suspect will use probably within the last like 10 minutes of the match. It's all going to come down to the minute details at this point.
Yep,
Uh,
and NAV is sending out provisioners now, so I definitely think it's going to come down to provisions. I mean, these structures have been flipping, but JST has been winning the occupation game. So, I mean, I don't know. Like with JST, are you? They're gonna. I think you're gonna hold on to this arc, and then not have a third arc game. And they continue to just have the teams focus heavily on structures because right now it looks like everyone's resetting and NAV is going heavy on structures. So man, I don't know. Like I think JST has the momentum right now. They definitely have the momentum.
yeah, having this extra arc in your pocket really does help alleviate a little bit of pressure because if you're JST, they are good at provisioning, and NnaV know that it's a focus in the match as well. So we do know that they're going to have it as well. The end of the day, are they going to be able to pull enough provisions to make up for the 3.5K gap that this arc is going to apply? That is a hard one, especially in provisions. That's why arc is so important because it is a one and done. Like it is a infusion of points. It's just a lump sum if you score an object. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Provisioning, you have to invest a lot of time, effort, and energy, and sometimes even skills if people are going to be coming in late to really drive that point home. And if I'm JST, I honestly wouldn't capture it. I think you're kind of playing with fire if you do capture it. So we're definitely going to be keeping our eyes on it to see. But it looks like they're going to be holding it all the way in the back of that obelisk just in case it gets taken.
Yeah.
But yeah, provisioning. Oh,
They know
he jumped in the node that way. Fresh March could get it.
exactly.
But yeah, at the end of the day, it's just going to come down to provisioning. I'm a little worried if you're NnaV on structure game. And as I say that, a lot of structures are flipping blue and altars. So they are flipping gears to that occupation. But JST, we're going to see how they react to that. And, with 17 minutes left, Red, it's looking real nice for JST.
Yeah, it is. JSC just pushed hard push as well. So we're gonna see a couple skills coming off in the next 5 minutes or so. Insatiable Desire, I believe. It's gonna really come down to the provisioning and structure game. So NNAV really needs to counter this arc and focus on the occupation. And yeah, provision is huge here. I think the average team now scores about what minimum 4K per match minimum at least. I mean, I've seen high ones. I think we've seen 7K before in the past. So that's gonna be crucial because this game will be literally so close with J. And if you look on the map, the entire left side has gone in favor of 1v. So they're definitely trying to shorten the gap of what this arc is gonna do. So, Bobo, with the momentum shifted in JST side, you think NnaV, if they control the momentum of taking these structures from JC, because the whole map's blinking, man. I feel like we're at a stoplight right now where everything's going off. Can NnaV do this?
Anything's possible with 16 minutes. I mean, if you hold 3 altars for 16 minutes,
Yeah,
you're gonna be you're gonna be in the driver's seat. But being realistic, even if you hold it for 3-4 minutes with 3 altars, everything is going to help at this point. But if you're going to be focusing occupation, you need those high scoring point per minute structures, which is those altars. And it looks like NnaV are holding quite a bit.
Yeah.
As their points per minute is triple JST from 670 to 220. So they are trying, but like I said, that's minutes. So you are holding for a very long time in order to kind of claw it in and advance that points per minute. I think ideally, if you are NnaV, if you can cut this arc in half and keep the lead and have a lead by 1500, 1600, you're Gucci. That is the ultimate thing that you are shooting for, to cut this arc in half and then kind of rein them in with provisions, because that's what that should be your goal. You're not going to make up all 3500 points unless you're holding 3 or 4 altars for the entire time, which is very unlikely against a team like JST.
So as we were saying that, I noticed that NAV had 3 city rallies on the left side, and it looks like they have a squad just going for this arc. They have a squad going for the arc.
Go, right? They're like, full send, boys.
So that was interesting. I mean, like, you know, that was well timed. They had literally 3 marches going after 3 rallies just dedicated for this arc to at least counter it or do something. But this is gonna throw some things off on the JST side, right? Because you have to commit marches now to kind of protect this arc and restrict it from going for it, because NAV can easily tap this obelisk and then turn that in, and that will be a huge blow to JST. So they this arc will definitely go down, and I think they're trying to force him to score it, possibly have another arc, or just delay it, because now the structures have kind of flipped and kind of stabled out. The points per minute game is still in favor of NnaV at 590 to 410, so they're keeping it close. But if NnaV do delay this arc in some shape or form, that could definitely turn the tide of what the other momentum of the game. Because they're definitely full sending right now. Not full sending, but they're definitely sending a good amount of marches committed to this arc.
See, and I think the issue with this play is there should have been a rally already hitting this obelisk, because they do have the marches to do it. But once they pick it up, where do they go? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there is nowhere to go. The obelisk isn't even. They tried to swarm. I just saw a Zika in garrison, so it's going to take all of these half dead marches to even try to attempt to take the obelisk. So it's a nice play, but they don't have the supporting cast out there rallying the obelisk as they're making this play. So
Yeah, they have a rally coming now. It's going to hit in about 45 seconds. So I don't know if this play is going to work. If it hit the same time those marches were there, like at the very beginning, I think it could have been a different outcome. I don't think so. But right now, NAV is really going aggressive with structures. They are winning the points per minute game at 560 to 440. They took back the JST altar here, so they're definitely disrupting the points. But JST does have the top desert altar from NnaV, so they're doing their part at even the score. But NnaV still has the lead with about 1,200 points left in the gap. 12 minutes left, man. Your thoughts on who's gonna take this win, or is it still too close to tell?
the first thing we said is what, try to cut that arc in half, and they're doing pretty good. And as we say that, 3 altars flip in the side of JST. But like I said, at the end of the day, if you're not holding the arc, your ultimate goal is to cut the worth of the arc at least in half. So you're aiming for that 1,500 point increase on your side in your favor. That way, when they do deliver it, you're only down by 1,500. And that is a lot more obtainable when it comes to provisioning than if you're trying to make up 3.5K in provisions. So with 11 and a half minutes left in this match, JST does have this last arc, which is going to be worth 3,500 points. But NnaV are pushing very, very hard and being very aggressive, as they have a 1,400 point lead in their favor right now. Insatiable Desire, as we say it. Look, NnaV popping it. I suspect JST will probably pop it inside of the 10-minute mark. But yes, it should be a play between both teams. And as we say that, 3 altars are still in favor of JST in double points per minute for 380 to 710. Red.
Yep, and as I'm saying that, because we talk about provisions being really important. JST has 2 players committed, hitting these gatherers on the NAV side. So this would be really interesting to see how JST disrupts a provision game for NAV. Like, they're doing whatever they can to minimize the point gap that NAV is trying to cover. But the occupation is in favor of JST at 710 versus 380, as you mentioned. They have farm killers literally going out hitting those provisioners. So JST is definitely controlling the momentum here, and it does look good for JST, even though they're down by about 2,000 points. It's gonna be really close, really close.
Yeah, and they were able to clear out the rest of those NnaV marches by the arc carrier.
Safe
So
and sound.
that's one. Yeah, safe and sound as of right now. War drums. Now that you know that you're not going to have an investment in middle, are now going to start popping, trying to neutralize some of these structures. This is where the interesting part that I haven't seen a lot of teams use is that valiant stand. With the 10 minutes left, at that last 10 minutes, you have that you're in the advantage, popping that on structures, especially these high scoring ones, could be a make or break in certain situations, because as we say that, and NnaV just take down another altar, and I suspect that they are going to be attacking all these altars, trying to mitigate the points per minute advantage that JST was trying to rebuild. And yep, and as we say that, 3 altars flip in favor of NnaV, and we are just under the 10-minute mark left. Red, kind of what are both of these teams? What do you think they're thinking right now, bud?
It's literally it's coming to the occupation and provisioning, man. Like this the second arc is 3,500 points. JST is doing a really good job at continuing to have the occupation lead. Right now they're up by 140 points per minute. So they're slowly, by like a certain percentage every minute, increasing their lead once they score this arc. So NAV is going to go full heavy on these structures and really try to disrupt that gap and continue to take that lead. But I'm really concerned about like these provisions here because they literally have somebody disrupting that entire process of gathering. So I'm really just to see how the end game points will be for occupation and for the provisioning, because those are going to be the two final factors that are going to win this game for either side.
So here's the fun part, right? Once we get deeper in, as we get closer and closer to the end of this match, when you have the advantage, neutral is almost as powerful as you scoring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not allowing your opponent to score more points per minute. You aren't necessarily doing it, but you're not allowing them to increase their advantage in that points per minute. So as we keep saying that constantly, every minute, these altars are flipping back and forth, back and forth. But the difference is, right, until that clock hits 0 on that structure, they're not scoring anything. So, the points per minute, 330, the altar just ticked over. So now it's 630. It was 350, I believe, about 30 seconds ago. So that's something to keep an eye on as well.
And they just scored the arc. So 7 minutes and 50 seconds left in the match. JST does have the lead by a little less than 2,000 points, Bobo. So this is going to be a close game. I mean, I see JST holding 2 of the outposts of NnaV, but NnaV were able to flip another one back. Like it's gonna be close, man. I think it's gonna be less than 1,000 points, as I mentioned earlier in the match. What is NAV gonna do to shorten this gap? And JST just has to go on defensive and just make sure that their structures don't fall in the hands of NAV, because every minute counts now. Every minute counts now. Every provisioner counts now. So Discord must be insane on both sides in these last 7 minutes, Boba, because I honestly, this is a nail biter for me, and I'm sure for the chat here, a lot of people have a lot of have a lot of coins on both sides and the Osiris League bets, and whoever's gonna come out the winner is the winner here, man. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, and I was just taking a look right now. JST does still have those double provisioners going. I'll be very interested to see if they're going to use Insatiable Desire. And right now I'm looking at JST attacking provision marches right here. Let's see if he. Oh,
Same thing on the NAV side. They're attacking provisioners as well. They got
so
on the bottom left.
yeah. So with provisioning, guys, the important part is you cannot afford to die inside the node.
Yep.
Right. If you die inside the node, everything that you've done all match long, it was for naught. Right. You lose all your points if you die inside of your node. If you die outside of the node, once your march returns back home, all your provision score gets returned. So that is the important part at the end of the day. JST, a thing to keep an eye on as well that they can utilize as well is using those marches that have that slowing effect, in an effort to even if you don't kill them, just tapping them and slowing them, to decrease their march speed, to hopefully they don't get back home, can be a play as well. But NnaV turning up the heat, with all these altars in their favor with a little over 5 minutes left. Red.
Ooh, it's gonna be a nail biter, man. I mean, that all that effort going to that second arc, right? It'll all be for nothing. They can't hold these structures. That's the scary part, because on the left side there's only one building in possession of JST, even with the outputs being taken from NnaV. So man, like they're taking every point they can, shorten this gap and get it close. Because right now in points per minute, it's 560 in favor of NnaV versus the 340 in JST. That second arc is that points is just diminishing from what they earned from that second arc, man. So JST needs to stabilize. They need to balance everything out, continue to provision, and maintain this lead with 5 minutes left in the match. Defensive is the key. Like you said, neutral is the key right here.
Mm-hmm. And I'm still interested. I haven't seen Insatiable Desire from JST.
Yep, I did not either.
I will tell you this, that the matches that they have lost in previous seasons have been due to bad provisioning. Like they still do good, but they have provisioning marches that don't make it in, or that it just they get out provisioned like pretty aggressively. It's stuff like that where you may not lose every match due to provisioning, but you can definitely lose these really nail biting ones. So that's something, as we say that, look, it is now a what 1,500 point lead.
Yes,
Like
sir.
it's getting cut, and these provision marches will probably start coming around the 2 minute mark for both teams. So if JST have not popped Insatiable Desire, this is going to become very, very, very interesting because we do know that NnaV have popped it already. So definitely keep our eyes on that one for sure coming in as we round out with less than 4 minutes left in this match.
Oh man, and literally, there's literally on the JST side, NAV. Uh, oh, good. I was gonna say he had his march in the node, and like, he's not pulling it out like that. There's points lost right there. So I'm glad that they're being aware of the situation and pulling out their marches out of the node before it gets wrecked, because those every point counts here for JST side. It's 1,600 points left, and 3 minutes 20 seconds left. Who is gonna come out the victor? Who is gonna face the next? Who's gonna make it to the top 4? Who's gonna get that skin, Boba? Even though it's 3%, it's a big deal to me. For 100 days you train, you get 3 days off.
I know you're excited. And huge shout out. I know a lot of these teams as we're casting. We're casting, and Red's gonna be playing here in a little bit. But man, the intensity with matches. This is what we live for the Osiris League. I mean, we look forward to it every single season as these top tier teams compete to see who's going to make it top 4 and ultimately become our champion. And with 2 minutes left, we should start to see these provision marches. And I am seeing it on the NnaV side as they're starting to come in on the top side. We're going to start to see if this deficit's going to get cut, as it's now
3,000 points. 2,500.
Yep, and they're coming in, so we're going to start to see. Oof.
Oh man, we're going to see, because I know right now NnaV the call is probably coming in like next 45 seconds for everyone. Start looking at your march times of getting back to your city, because you don't want to be that guy. And there's a lot of people who've been caught saying, I wonder how many points you could have scored if you made it to your city.
Yeah, we could have won because we lost by 30 points.
Oh,
And just like that, there was three provision marches that came in, and that is what it increased it by. I think it was by like 500-600 points. So, like I said, it's going to be a uphill climb, and that's why that decreasing that deficit as we see more NnaV coming in now is so important. You know what I mean? Decreasing that, because making up a 3,000 point cap is god near impossible with provisions unless you're investing a ton of marches. And that march just came in, another one's coming in. But look at it's like JST learned from their previous history. They are now resending out marches, but now they are not sending out siege, right? That is the number one mistake that a lot of teams will make when you're not used to provisioning. They're like, oh, I gotta send my siege out. At a certain point, you're just sending calves out because you need to get fast, right? You're just fast. You're diving in the node for 30 seconds and you're diving back out. And that's literally what JST is cherry picking on these nodes right now in an effort to just pull as many provisions as they can to the bitter end. And JST, the call has been made. Let's see if some of these marches are going to come in. And as we say that, I'm looking top side on the side of JST, Swift Stride getting popped because some of these provision marches aren't going to make it. No!
Get your butt home, everybody! Pull now.
Zangbot, he might not make it. Oh no, he's gonna be 10 seconds late. He's gonna be 10 seconds late.
Side?
Top side JST. You're gonna see him coming in from the right side.
You better city hop. You better city hop.
He's gonna.
Oh man.
Oh, I don't think it's gonna matter, but it's just stuff like that the call outs when they're getting made, you saw them pop. Oh, look, he heard you, Red. He heard you.
You're welcome, Dang. Dangbot, you're welcome.
Let's see. I want to see if he city hops. This is the one mistake that a lot of teams don't. They just send their and they don't city hop. I want to see.
He's not gonna make it. He's not gonna make it. Oh, but it didn't matter.
It didn't matter either way.
Chat. Congratulations to the MVP JST save. And going down to the scoring, Bulba, JST has come out the victor. Congratulations for making it to top 4 in Osiris League. GG's at NnaV, well fought match. Let's go into the breakdown right here, Bulba. 3,500
Mhm.
points for that second arc versus the 3,000 for the first arc for NnaV. Occupation score, we did say that JST was going to win that. Provisioning,
Insatiable
NnaV was
desire.
5 exactly on this. Oh man, that could have been a huge blow to GST if the reason why it went because they didn't provision enough. They did just enough to take the lead, and the occupation was definitely the thing that made them come out with the victor. But the kills though, JST
Mm-hmm.
flapped.
The heels though.
I mean, that's not as high as TR though, because TR is at 50 million.
Yeah. But y'all are elite though. You know what I'm saying? Y'all are elite healing machines out there. But yeah, dude, that I'm telling you, it's the provision. I'm still very surprised that they didn't use it. Insatiable desire, but that is one of those huge benefits of using that. The provision game pulled them back in, and like I said, it came down to the structures, that occupation, cutting that down. And at the end of the day, that arc, like we said, the arc was that important for the second one. That's why you saw NnaV invest so much.
Yeah, man. So I mean, with this now, the day was started with an amazing match. Bulba, it was a pleasure again to cast with you on this epic match. Now tune in for the 15 UTC match with Chiz and Drago with TR versus VC56. That's also gonna be another banger. Chat, make sure to again to like and subscribe to the Rise of Kingdoms official channel, and also make sure to check out myself, Redline, and Bulbaritos on YouTube, as we're fellow content creators of Rise of Kingdoms. But with that, everybody, I'm glad you guys joined the match. Again, congrats to JST and NnaV for making it this far and JST advancing. Bulba, we'll see you guys in the next one.
All right, brother. Have a good one. Good luck. Thank you again, chat.
Chat, have a great one. Bye.